I spent the last dozen years or so working with Richard Branson and Virgin Group to launch Virgin branded businesses in North America. I was also the head of communications for Virgin Galactic, which is the world's first commercial space line. We had some dramatic highs and also some tragic lows, and I was there for key moments that helped me cut my teeth in both brand building and also crisis management. Before then, I was a social entrepreneur. Before that term was even coined, I helped launch Teach for America and also the KIPP schools.
I want to talk about for a few minutes here is, every company has sent out a COVID-19 email. If you are advising a CEO, should they be sending out that COVID-19 email? How should they be communicating with customers? What is your general advice around communications in a kind of uncertain time like this?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I'm sure, like you, my inbox is flooded with emails from my favorite brands. What I think is really important to ask first before anything else, before deciding should I communicate with my customers, is what are we doing? What is our company doing for customers and for our partners and our community right now that's positively contributing to their lives? Every single person is being impacted by COVID. So what you do now to participate can ensure two things, right? One is you are not going to be tone deaf when you're communicating with your stakeholders because you're engaged, you know what's going on. Secondly, you're going to show your true character as a brand that adds value to your customers' lives. I've seen that on bad days, the company's true character really gets exposed. And so you want to lead with your best foot, and that is by being an engaged contributor, positive contributor to your community. So while you're running your day-to-day operations, think through and ask your employees to help you understand what are you uniquely suited to do to engage in problem solving. Are you partnering up with local organizations to help the medical community, frontline workers? Are you finding ways for your customers as well as your staff to help local businesses keep their doors open? What are area schools doing that you could possibly help with? So I think being creative in that way first allows you to create a story around your own brand and find ways to obviously be useful to your customers and your stakeholders. I think that expression of your brand will result naturally in stories that will bolster your employees and also inspire your customers and create stories that they will want to hear. I'm not saying proactively brag about a few things that you're doing, but first demonstrate the values of your brand, and then you will find relevant storylines and meaningful things to talk about.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Let me ask you about internal communications. So what is your advice to CEOs looking to find connection with their workforce, especially companies that have multiple offices? I mean, does the playbook or does the thinking around internal comms change?
I think that's a really good question. And to echo some of the things that Matt said, right now, people are working from home who are not equipped to work from home. And so I think to try to over communicate and reach out to people that may be quiet in Zoom, just ping them and check in with them, and also share what's going on in your own life. That BBC dad famously had those kids. I mean, it was an accident, but it was so naturally engaging and heartwarming and also just very real. Like, we're all dealing with stuff in the background. So to not hide from that, I think, again, it's a reflection of your true personality and the fact that you're being authentic and you're showing up for your team. So I would say over communicate, but do it in not a fake saccharine way, but do it in a really honest and open way. I will say that people are struggling with pain. And so if you have something that can alleviate that, then launch it, launch that brand, launch that product, launch that blog, do whatever it is. Don't wait. And also share moments of levity and humanness, because we could all use a laugh.
And Christina, one last question, but you worked for a brand that has such an incredible voice, right? Many of the brands that we work with have their own brand voice, and sometimes that brand voice is whimsical and fun and it's different. Is now a time where you have to be thoughtful about your brand's voice? Do you have to change that voice? Like, how do you think about that, especially coming from, a place that was unapologetically unique?
I think that within all of our brands, there is a place for seriousness. There is a place for genuine reflection. And so as whimsical or as brash or as rough as your voice may be and your brand may be, I think it's really important to be very focused on telling the truth and being transparent. So I would seek to find a kind of balance, because not everything is going to work tonally if you're one extreme or the other. I think showing that authenticity is really important. I also think that when you're dealing with a crisis, and you're about to share bad news, or if you think something is not going to go well, start to map out like how you're going to start sharing this information with your stakeholders, because they don't want to be caught on their back foot. They don't want to be in the dark. And so that means you're going to have to be real and serious and show that you might not have all the answers, but you know what processes you're going to take in order to get the answers to your stakeholders. And that requires a certain level of seriousness.